Hey guys, Berserk 2016 episode 5. Here we go. First off, let me say this. If you like this series, don't watch my reviews. You already know that I hate them. I just hate this episode, that I hate every episode that's coming out so far because of how poor of an adaptation it is. So you know what I'm going to think about it, but if you're here to actually hear specific points, then you're good. But if you like this and you don't want to hear somebody trash on it, don't watch my videos. You're just going to end up disliking it. So let's get right into it. First off, this week, this is a concern for the overall series that I have. The color palette is just not doing it right. It's too bright, too flashy, too much of a modern anime type deal here. And when you look at the Berserk manga, everything is meant to be much darker. Like, the backgrounds are meant to be kind of overcast and cloudy, the environment is meant to be as oppressive as the subject matter. So they're doing it wrong by doing this bright and happy color palette. Digibro did a very good video earlier today / last night, I guess, covering Berserk 2016 versus Berserk the 90s version, and he brought this up as a concern. I recommend going to watch that video. It's on his After Dark channel. He covers things in a bit more detail, I guess. So it's cool. It's a good video. Great to check out. Let's see here. This adaptation in itself is too modern. I've talked about pacing problems before, but it kind of goes and does the fast action pacing of most modern light novel adaptations. And they're choosing a lot of stylings from modern anime that just do not fit with Berserk, like making Guts a Kirito, like light novel cool guy type character who's just so badass and can take on anything when he's not meant to be that way at all. The color palette is part of that, and there's just so many decisions that they're making that they're taking from modern anime. Not to say modern anime is bad. It's not. It's not the style of Berserk. And it just does not work to use the more modern storytelling techniques for a story like this. It's not good. Let's see here. The mouth animations this week were the worst I have seen so far out of this series. It's like the mouths would just barely move and the voices would come out. And anime, like, normally it doesn't match up exactly with what a voice actor is saying, but it's not as noticeable as it was in this instant. It's not good. Really not good. On the plus side, I have a few this week for this episode. The first plus side is they actually did Isodro's real introduction, not that bullshit they pulled back in the bar scene. His real introduction, they did it well, and they actually stuck to the plot of the manga fairly closely. I still got issues with the episode, but that first few minutes there, that was actually close enough to the manga for me to be like, oh, hey, they actually paid attention. Let's see here. What else? I got a big complaint, and it didn't really pop up this episode, but I'm sure it will in the future. They're focusing on Casca's rape too much. And I'm not the kind of person to say, if you have rape in a story, it's automatically bad. No, I don't think that way at all. What I do think, however, is that when you're repeatedly bringing it up, more so than in the manga, it takes away all of the impact of the moment. And, you keep showing something and people are just going to say, "Oh, we get it. She got raped. Big damn deal." It's good. It's just going to become normalized, and it's just it takes away from the shocking aspects of that moment, and all the impact that moment had, because that was just a big moment in the series and one of the first huge slaps to the face, and I mean, the entire eclipse is just like that. But anyway, I'm starting to get into stuff that doesn't matter at this point. The Kushan this week, they all used the exact same model. It was like the dogs in the last episode. They keep using the exact same models for all these characters, and I've seen it before. They just keep reusing models, and Miura goes out of his way in his art to, make unique designs for even the smallest of characters. It really makes the scene stick out that much more, and when you're doing that, it just strikes of laziness when you're just reusing the same model for everything. Kind of going off that, the horses this week just looked awful. The Knight's horses, I don't know what it was, but in particular this week, they just looked so much worse. Maybe it was the texture of the armor. I don't know what it was, but they just look so much worse. For another positive, the music finally clicked for me. I haven't really liked it before, but the music this week clicked. The violence, it's still toned down a little too much and still a little cartoonish in my opinion, but it did get a little better this week, They were lopping off arms and legs and heads. So while I understand it's never going to be the same as in the manga with the extremely gruesome violence, it's it's a little bit better. I'll give them that. Probably the worst thing that happened this week was all the sudden transitions. Like, they were doing quick cuts all the time. And you see that in modern action movies a lot, and it's an issue. Bringing it into anime, it works. It's even more noticeable. And you just can't do all those quick cuts. That is bad directing 101, because it doesn't allow the viewer's mind to process what is happening. Your eye picks it up, but you just can't. It doesn't stay because it's not lingering long enough. The human mind requires about 3 seconds per frame to be able to understand, well, not per frame, per scene, to be able to comprehend what's going on and memorize it. When you go under that 3-second limit, it instantly becomes forgettable. So that's just terrible directing. And they brought that into the torture scene this week, where it was just a sudden cut from the woman being clothed and standing in the entryway there to all of a sudden being naked on the torture table or the rack or whatever it was. So I don't really want to see her get her clothes ripped off, but doing a sudden cut like that takes all the impact out of the scene. But it was just sudden cut after sudden cut after sudden cut this week. Just no quick cuts. Just bad direction. Okay, the shading is another problem that has been consistent throughout the adaptation so far, but it was really noticeable for some reason this week to me when I looked at the castle, and it made it seem less imposing and made the background more drab. That is something that is in modern anime that is not good. Now, not every anime that is coming out now has this bad, even lighting where you can't tell where the source is from. But it's become a common problem in a lot of cheap adaptations, and like you'll see it in just low budget shows. But the point is, you need a source of lighting. Like, when you have the sun in the sky, there's going to be dark areas and shadows in overhangs. So when you do that even lighting where everything is bright, it does not seem realistic. And it really takes away from what you have going on in the background or the appearance of the characters, because you need good shading, and just does not have it in this adaptation. Let's see here. Another positive is not so much to do with this adaptation, but I'm happy the best whores are showing up again. You know, they're some of the funnest characters in Berserk, which, you know, there's not a whole lot of real positive characters, but I love the whores. They're fun, and I can't wait till they show back up again in the manga, because we got to see a glimpse of them about, what was it, chapter released about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago now. You know, well, they're back in the storyline, so I'm happy to see them again in this adaptation, because I like them. Oh boy, the stoning scene. Dear God, why? That scene had zero impact whatsoever, and you could kind of tell that they were going for the when all the refugees gave the sheep-haired whore the whole "you need to join in and throw a stone" look, but the animation was so jerky, and it just happened so fast with none of the inner monologues going, and none of the explanation that you had to fit in, else you faced risk of execution. The moment just lost all meaning. It didn't have the impact. And that stoning scene was a very small thing in the manga, but it's memorable. So that just wasn't good. Yeah, so I had another note about the models, the reuse of character models, but, you know, I already covered that. So, I don't know. The adaptation is not getting better. In fact, the quality is varying so much between each and every episode. Like, one episode will be slightly better, and then it'll just go back down to being slightly worse. And I don't know. It's still not good. I'm still not really enjoying it. And I'm saddened because, like I've mentioned before, this is my favorite arc, and they're just not playing it right. And it's just coming across as being, I hate to say it, but it's not being depressing enough. It's depressing for entirely the wrong reasons. I don't know. It's just, there you go. Well, that's my review for this week. I do have to mention this. I'm going to be moving at the end of next week, so I don't think my video will come out on time. I'll try and get it out as quick as possible, but I do not know when I'll have it out. It may be as late as Monday of next week. Well, not next week, Monday of the week after next. But I will try and get the video out for you guys. Well, thanks for watching.